Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Thursday morning webinar. I am Chloe Tetro. I'm the health coach here with Ready Care, and we'll be bringing you through some of the topics associated with advanced goal setting this morning. So into January, it's a lot of time that people do a little bit of an audit as to where they're at, where they want to be, how do they get there. So for this morning, we're really going to look at, things like goal congruence, self-efficacy, mental contrasting, implementation intentions, adjusting. So it's beyond SMART goal setting. And for those of you unfamiliar, the SMART acronym is one that's used an awful lot in goal setting, whether it be workplace or whether it be, in your own life. So it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The approach would be grounded in Locke's and Latham's goal setting theory, and it underscores the importance of clear and challenging objectives. Now, with that theory in mind, specific and challenging goals lead to higher performance than easier vague goals. Vagaries, abstracts, all of those type of things really don't particularly have a home in goals and goal setting, target setting objectives. One should be very, very clear about where they want to get to. It will make the path there a lot easier. If I said to a taxi driver, bring me anywhere near the city, I'm pretty sure they'll get pretty annoyed. What route do I take? Is it more important to get there in a timely fashion? Is it more important for you to get there? Lots of different types. My analogy is running away with itself. So with the SMART framework, goals should be well-defined, realistically attainable, and within a specific time frame. It's not good enough to say, I'd like to get fit. That's very vague. What does fit mean to you? How do you know you're on course, off course? When are you going to go? What types of exercises are you going to do? When? Is that sustainable? Is it achievable? And really, that's the kind of entry level into goal setting, that they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It's a lot easier to kind of undertake a lot of different goals when all of this is in place. But for today's perspective, we're going to go beyond that and look at a kind of more neuroscientific, behavioral based of a set of topics on what are some additional supports that you can have in place and be aware of that can help you to achieve your goals. And one of these is goal congruence. Sorry, my nose is itchy. What do I mean by goal congruence? This would be kind of more familiar within a workplace setting for a lot of people. Basically, goal congruence basically means that whatever the small task, whatever the small goal that you're participating in, makes sense within the wider picture. And from a workplace and organizational setting, team setting, you may have heard it with regards to, let's make sure that everybody's part leads to the greater whole, leads to us all going in the same direction with things. But from an individual perspective, goal congruence would be kind of broken down with regards to, is what you're looking to achieve fitting with where you want your life to head in the larger scheme of things? And those might seem like really large questions if you're just kind of thinking, well, geez, Chloe, all I want to do is start running every day. Great. Does that fit into how you want to progress long term? If it does, your whole system is going to get on board with that. It's there to protect its view of who you were long term. When you have what's called cognitive dissonance, when part of you wants to do something and the other part is fighting against it all the time, what's happening there is there's no congruence long term. There's no enmeshment with who you are, who you want to be into the future. This task doesn't seem to make sense to you within that picture. So a good way to make sure that your goals are congruent with who you want to be long-term is to actually have a degree of surety and certainty as to your longer goals, your longer intentions for where you want this to lead you. What I mean by that is, not only are you putting on your running shoes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but those are leading towards you wanting to be a healthier individual long-term. Health is defined then as a long-term intention, and it's further defined as, this is what health means to me. Health to me means the ability to say to my peers, I'm going to do a marathon in summer. I'm very excited about it. It's the ability to have full autonomy in your body. It's the ability to be able to run up the hill without gasping for breath and wheezing up the stairs. But you're very, very certain about what this small task is helping towards going towards. And that will also set off what's known as a dopamine effect, where every time you accomplish a smaller goal, so when we talk about having the large goal of climbing the mountain, break it down into smaller steps. Make sure that the goals that you're setting within your SMART goals are small steps towards a larger goal that you're very excited about, and that you can always trace these small intentions, these small tasks, these small behaviors that I am implementing during the week are leading me towards this greater thing. What's going to happen there is setting off dopamine. And in habit formation, dopamine is exceedingly important because it's the neurotransmitter that helps you get from here to there to where you want to go. It's that little jump in between, sometimes that large jump in between. Every time that you successfully complete a task, it's leading you towards our second topic, self-efficacy. And self-efficacy and dopamine will tie in with each other. Basically, self-efficacy can be defined as your own, your surety as to your own capabilities. I know that I can do this. The more I know I can do this, the easier I perceive it to be, the more reward I get from the task. And each time that you add little bits onto that, little tasks, I've left the runners by the door, I went out even though it was raining today, check, check, check. You're getting dopamine each time. And dopamine helps to fortify the pathways in your brain towards new habit and behavior creation. When there's a break from the norm into a new change, a new habit, a new behavior, it requires dopamine to create those pathways in the first place. Every time that you do something that you feel proud of, every time that you do something successfully, you add to your own self-efficacy, which is one of the major predicators for being able to successfully stick to a goal long term. So you're helping to fortify your pathways. You're also helping the task to appear less and less difficult as you go, and more and more rewarding as you go. So that's the self-efficacy piece. It's very, very important with regards being able to really believe that you're able to do something. It was first introduced by, excuse me, psychologist Albert Bandura, and it's the ability to succeed in specific situations and accomplish the tasks that you have set yourself out to do. Now, when I work with people that have major, major difficulties with their belief system around their ability to accomplish a task, there's that old saying, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. And where it comes to self-efficacy, if somebody's self-image with regards to their ability to complete tasks is very, very poor to begin with, that they'll say, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. I've tried things like this in the past, and every time they fail, they're starting off with a very, very low baseline of their ability to complete that task. It's going to take an awful lot more mental energy to create new behaviors. They're not quite getting the dopamine that's helping to create those new neurotransmitters. It's more difficult. It's more challenging. And what we tend to do then, if you find yourself in this particular bracket, that your history with particular tasks have given you the self-messaging that your self-efficacy is quite low. What I would say, and what I would suggest strongly to do, is begin with the smallest possible step. Now, you may have heard this before with regards, if you want to start going to the gym, go into the building as your first day. That's all you need to do. Or maybe your first day will be, I'm just going to look up the classes online. Check. I'm just going to drive as far as the building. Check. The next day, I'm going to go into the building and make small talk with the person at the desk. check. Now, these might seem like really small acts that are quite far away from where you want to be. But as you're working with a very low baseline of self-efficacy, that's the reality of where you need to build from. So the buzz basically that you will get from accomplishing a task that requires minimal effort, because remember, when the self-efficacy is low, objects appear more difficult than they usually would. So you want to build on that. Allow yourself to succeed little by little. And with the brain, repetition is key, and giving yourself evidence that you are capable is key. Self-efficacy is absolutely brilliant. It's crucial for goal settings. When you have people with high self-efficacy, they set more challenging goals and are more committed to achieving them because they believe that they can, because they have evidence from past undertakings that they are capable of achieving goals. Now, again, this ties right back into smart goal setting. If you assign yourself a task that is unrealistic for the skill level that you are currently at, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and a big knock to your confidence, which is going to bring that self-efficacy piece right back down again, and you'll have to build from the ground up again. So people with higher self-efficacy have they approach difficult tasks as challenges to be mastered rather than these threats to be avoided. When people talk about procrastination, those would be individuals where they would benefit from building on their self-efficacy just a little bit. And a very, very quick way to do this is assign yourself a list that day of things that you do anyway. This might sound very odd, but basically put on your list things like brush your teeth, get dressed, have a morning cup of coffee, check the newspaper headlines, whatever they may be. Each time that you tick items from your list, whether you believe in it or not, you're going to be cascading dopamine, and you'll find that it becomes easier to do the next task and easier to do the task after that. There's a good piece of advice in the kind of self-development field that says make your bed every morning. If you know that you started the day with making your bed, all tasks after that become a little bit easier because you trust in your own abilities. So that's a very kind of a cornerstone beginning. And it has a wonderful knock-on effect as you go through. The next one that we'll have a quick look at is Jedi mind trick, mental contrasting. So it's quite similar to visualization, and I'm this way and that way with visualization, because I think visualization is a brilliant tool. You look at the top performing athletes in the world, they will all tell you they visualize their wins, they visualize their goals, they prime their system to know what to do next. When there's less decisions, micro decisions that need to be done in the moment, we tend to perform a little bit better. They'll say, I visualize the goal, I visualize myself winning, etc., etc. Now, I think visualization is absolutely crucial to prime your system to, first of all, know what it is that you want. Again, clarity of objective is extremely important when your system is conspiring to help you with something. If the system doesn't know what it's conspiring to help you with, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty bringing it into manifestation and fruition. Now, with visualization, I would tend to advocate for something called mental contrasting a little bit more. So there's the visualization of exactly what it is that you want, and give yourself as much detail, give your system as much detail, give your brain as much detail, because you would be surprised how clever, ingenious the subconscious and the unconscious are. You will tend to move in that direction if it's been set as your target, objective, and goal. And lots of different decisions throughout your day you will tend to make towards moving towards that goal. So know what it is. Give yourself as much information, but with the mental contrasting, there's a secondary piece to it. So it was developed by Gabrielle Oettingen OETTINGEN. And the method will first involve envisioning the desired outcome, and then the more crucial step is come back to reality, come back to where you currently are, and realistically assess your current situation, particularly looking at challenges and obstacles that might hinder achieving that goal. So you really, really need to sit into the first part of it. And it's very important not to jump straight to obstacles. So once you're in the first part, dopamine receptors are going off, your brain's going, yes, I definitely want this. This is fantastic reward. And remember, the more dopamine that we have in our system, the easier tasks appear to be, the smaller obstacles and challenges appear to be. I often say, times that I've decided I've got the next big business idea, and I get very excited about it and get loads of dopamine about it. If somebody said to me, oh, what about this and what about that? It just doesn't really blip on the radar as much. And that's really where you want to be in a planning position. Make sure that your goals are large, that they excite you, that it's something you really, really see as rewarding, because reward means getting from here to there. It means dopamine, means that little jump, or sometimes that big jump. So mental contrasting is effective because it combines positive visualization, which is a great first step, with practical planning. And this is where I mentioned visualization. Sometimes I'm this way and that way about, because I mean, you could sit in your house, you could sit on your couch and visualize you winning the World Cup. You could visualize yourself being swept away in a whirlwind romance in the Caribbean. You could visualize yourself in lots of brilliant scenarios. But if you never do anything, you are going to still be sitting on your couch dreaming. So practical planning and giving yourself the opportunity to get what you want. It sounds really obvious, but it's a, you can't skip that step. Athletes, yes, will say, I visualize scoring the goal, but they also showed up for practice. They also practiced kicking that goal an awful lot to make that transition smoother into what it is they were visualizing. Now, it helps in maintaining motivation by focusing on the desired outcome and the potential hurdles. The kind of small phrase I like to put, especially with mental contrasting. So it's important that when you're mentally contrasting, that you try to look at the obstacles mostly as internal ones rather than external ones. Get to the external ones later on. Internal ones are usually the major obstacles. They're the ones that stop us from even beginning to try and getting to the external obstacles. Try to give yourself a real honest look at what are you going to do or not do that'll get in your own way of your desired goal and outcome. What behaviors are you most likely to adopt that will get in your own way? What behaviors are you least likely to adopt that are going to get in your own way? So research has demonstrated that mental contrasting can lead to structural changes in the brain, such as increased cortical thickness, which would be associated in improved attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness, all of which would be critical for staying focused and committing to one's goal. Mental contrasting helps in detaching from distractions and managing your stress, which helps enhance your ability to maintain goal-directed behaviors. So to kind of back it up a little bit, mental contrasting, you visualize, you give yourself loads of delicious sensory information, which your brain goes, reward, I love this. Then you come back to where you currently are and say, okay, how is this different than where I want to be at? And you work backwards. You go, okay, to get to where I want to, and I realistically am now, what are the steps I need to put into effect? And what are some of the challenges and obstacles that I need to really start looking at and working little by little to bring up my self-efficacy towards knowing that I can complete this particular goal? Now, this is best coupled with something called implementation intention. Now, this again is beyond kind of just your SMART goal setting. Implementation intention is a regulation strategy that involves creating specific plans for when and how to take steps forward towards a goal. So you have your SMART goals, and then you want to couple it with this kind of augmented version of it, which is implementation intention. If I could say it now, I'd be starting off well. So it's developed by a psychologist called Peter Gollwitzer, and it is summarized like, if X situation arises, if this situation arises, I will perform this response, or response Y. If X, then Y. So this approach bridges the gap between intention and action by creating a mental link between a specific situational cue and a goal-directed behavior. Now, behaviors and habits follow the kind of triad of trigger or cue, action or behavior, action, and responses. So when you are primed by your environment, you get a specific trigger or a specific cue, which you get an association or a response, which then elicits a behavior. So what this particular system does is kind of, I hate the terminology, hacks your brain way of working and makes it work for you. So things like, if it is Thursday, that is a running day. I'm going very basic with this, but if this, then that. If I brush my teeth, I'm going to do some squats at the same time. Which should be pretty funny. If Coronation Street comes on, I don't know if that show is it even running anymore. At least one of us will be running. If Coronation Street is on, that's my time for going on the treadmill and looking at it. And you're basically taking pre-existing cues in your environment and attaching a behavior onto it. People do it with days of the week, times of the day. If I'm having morning coffee on a Monday, so you have the specificity of Monday, the situational the specific situation, I am going to make my plan of eating for the week. So you've tied your coffee that day with the new behavior and habit of meal prepping, meal planning. That's just something that happens on that day. And if you do that a few times, your self-efficacy is going to go up. You're going to go, geez, I've been very good now to stick to what I said I was going to do. Your confidence levels are going to go up towards your ability, towards performing that particular task and goal. If you form these implementation intentions, thank God I said it right there, it increases the likelihood of successfully achieving goals. The intentions automate the action response to specific cues, making it more likely for the behavior to be carried out when the cue is encountered. The research around it found that participants who formed implementation intentions were more likely to start working on a task they had set themselves compared to those who didn't. So hopefully that is not clear as mud. Now, with any of these types of behaviors, it's important to adjust as you go. You're going to start finding, so the best way to troubleshoot is to start doing. What doesn't work? What works? If I previously did this, what went well for me? What didn't? Now you have the information of what didn't. How can I get around it? How can I create a new implementation intention around it? How can I break my task down into very, very small tasks that bring up my self-efficacy? How can I make these particular tasks congruent with where I want to go in 2 years' time, how I want my life to look like? What is the most mental contrasting I can do to fall in love with that idea and version of who I am in 2 years and work my bum off to get there? So hopefully you found something helpful in there. There is more to, like, motivation, as I say each time, is an abstract concept. A lot of how we operate is habit, repetition, and, as I said, falling in love with the idea of the reward so much that you are willing to put up with the sacrifices of being slightly uncomfortable in the lead up to it. Righto, I think that's enough for this morning. What am I at now? 20, 24 minutes, 25 minutes. That's enough talk out of me. So that is today's advanced goal setting into the new year. Hopefully you guys found something helpful in that. Would love to hear from you in the comment section if you have, or if you haven't, or if you have more tips. And have a lovely rest of your week. And you will be back next week. That's it for me. Bye-bye.